Hello, once again, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. My name is Tuffnar, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit more about Loadout, as you can no doubt surmise from the gameplay in front of you. But more about some of the things so far that I'd like to see changed within the game. Now, before I go any further, let me say that I adore this game. Despite the problems it's had with the servers and stuff like that, I absolutely adore this game. It is one of my favourite games to have been released this year. And I know I say that it's the start of the year, but I mean including last year as well. And considering that it's free to play, I think it's a fairly fair free to play model. Obviously, there's things they could change, but whatever. We'll talk about that in a different video. But yeah, like I say, I really like this video, and any criticisms I give are purely because I love the game so much, and it's just kind of little tweaks I'd like to see maybe introduced in future patches or maybe future maps or stuff like that. So just bear that in mind, guys, before you kind of judge me for any of the opinions that I put up here. First off is pyro damage. Now I know this is probably one of the most requested nerfs. Sorry. I feel that the pyro damage over time just does that little bit too much damage. Now, if you know where all the health kits are and stuff, it's not too much of a big issue. It's like, say, if you were to come up against a pyro in Team Fortress 2, as long as you know where the health pickups are around the map, you're essentially fine. But in Loadout, there isn't as many. Like, there's only one large kind of health pickup, and there's only usually 4 to 5, maybe 6 of them on each map. And sometimes, oh, sorry, that's my phone falling in the bin. Sometimes you simply can't get to them in time because the pyro damage is just that little bit too much. Obviously, they've kind of they've balanced it so that your bullets should do less damage when they have pyro added to them. So, say when you directly hit an enemy with bullets, they will do less damage if pyro effect is added to the gun. But I just feel that damage could be reduced ever so slightly just to make it that little bit more fair. Secondly, not so much of a big complaint, more of a little niggle really that kind of gets at me every so often, and that's the map layout. Now, I have to say that I absolutely adore the aesthetic. I think it's really, really pretty and runs so well. I mean, it's so well optimised. Like, I've never had a single frame rate drop, and I know I'm running it on a 780 Ti, but it seems to be the frame rate never seems to tank in any direction. It seems to be constantly, running at that 110 frames per second, and it's really nice. But the map layout. Sorry about that, guys. It's more, there's too many places to fall off, and I think when I was actually started the game, before I kind of got used to the layout of the maps and knew where everything was, I was falling down a lot. I still see some like higher level players falling down, even like when they're trying to make jumps and stuff. And I guess it's that kind of risk reward type thing, whereby if you want to get to an area quickly, there'll be a jump that you have to make, and if you miss it, you miss it really, and that's the price you pay for trying to take the quicker way. But there's just like random holes somewhere in some places within the maps, and that kind of becomes a little bit distracting at times and can be a little bit aggravating when you accidentally fall when you're backing away from an enemy or whatever. But that's more of a small kind of problem I have with it. Thirdly, that's it's going to be the shield. The shield really, it needs a nerf really. It's probably the most requested one that I've seen on the forums and on Facebook and stuff like that. It's people constantly going on about the shield needs nerfing, and I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making out, but it certainly is a little bit too much, just ever so slightly. Same with the pyro, just ever so slightly reduced, just so it doesn't give that much, that such a big leap in advantage between the people who can afford that skill and the people who can't. And I guess that's kind of the price you pay for not having I don't want this to sound too wrong, but a good enough matchmaking system, whereby like I could come up against players who were like level 10 when I was level 3 and stuff like that, and they had like multiple skills unlocked and stuff like that. But at the same time, most people are either going to have the shield or the turret at some stage. As soon as they get past like level 3 or 4 when you've got enough blues. But yeah, that's just another little kind of problem I have with it. Not so much a problem, just a little bit of an issue, and I think it needs to be addressed. Probably my biggest annoyance, and probably the last one I have, is there's not enough of a loot reward for, I wouldn't consider myself a skilled player by any means. I mean, like, I've got a decent kill to death ratio, and I always end up in the top 2 when I play the games. But I never feel like I'm rewarded enough for that. Like, even if I was to play a really bad game, I'd still usually get around about the same amounts of loot reward as if I was to play really, really well. And I feel that in that sense, like, it doesn't encourage people to kind of develop skill over time. because there's no major reward. And I guess they're kind of addressing it as like, well, we want all players to have a kind of fair reward system, even the bad ones, so you can all unlock everything at the same type of pace. But that doesn't really work when you can pay for double XP and double loot rewards and stuff like that. So when you've got something like that in a free-to-play model of a game, saying that you shouldn't be rewarded for skill is kind of, it's counterintuitive in a sense. But yeah, that's about all the complaints I have at the moment, and I think that's all the complaints I'm ever going to have about this game. Like I say, I really, really enjoy it. I've pumped about 25 hours into the game so far, and the only reason I haven't played more is because the servers have been down. The only other thing I would probably add, this is probably for a different video really, but it's kind of things they should add into the game. Like I'd love to see like a secondary ability added to a weapon if you choose to do so. Like say if I've got a shotgun, I'd like a secondary ability on the shotgun whereby I can charge a single shot up, and it does extra damage, but I can only use it say once per life, or I have to get a certain amount of kills before I can use it. It's sort of like a kill streak reward, but not as overpowered as like a heli chopper or whatever. But yeah, I think that's probably the only thing I can really think of that I would like to see added. If I come up with any more, I'll do another video on it. But regardless, I'm going to be quiet now because yeah, I'll just let you guys watch the rest of this gameplay. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed, guys. Leave your opinions in the comments below, whether you think I'm talking a load of shite or whether you think I've got some, kind of good points here. Regardless, all feedback's good feedback, guys. I'm proud that at least a few people are watching, and that's, that's good enough for me. So yeah, guys, I shall see you all in the next video. And yeah, toodaloo.
Your team has taken the hammer. The opposing team's hammer has been returned. The enemy has stolen the hammer. The enemy has dropped the hammer. Your hammer has been returned. Your team has taken the hammer. The opposing team's hammer has been returned. The enemy has stolen the hammer. You have been smashed by the hammer. The enemy has captured the hammer. The enemy has stolen the hammer. The enemy has stolen the hammer. has increased. You have successfully captured the hammer. The enemy has stolen the hammer. The enemy has dropped the hammer. Your hammer has been returned. The enemy has stolen the hammer. The enemy has... You have returned the hammer. Your team has taken the hammer. The enemy has stolen the hammer. You have taken the hammer. Successful. The enemy has dropped the hammer. Your hammer has been returned. The enemy has stolen the hammer. Your team needs to return the hammer. You have returned the hammer. You have successfully... The enemy has stolen the hammer. The enemy has dropped the hammer. Your hammer has been returned. You have taken the hammer. Successful hammer kill. Your hammer value has increased. You dropped the hammer. The opposing team's hammer has been returned. The enemy has stolen the hammer. The enemy has dropped the hammer. Your hammer has been returned.